Hello guys, how are we all doing? Welcome back to yet another video. Today we are back with the fixtures for Good Friday. Harry.
The predictions.
Predictions.
Hello, you alright?
Yeah?
Yeah?
You good?
Yeah, man.
Good. Right, we've got big games coming your way, so let's get stuck into them. Make sure to drop a like and hit that red subscribe button as we start with the lunchtime game. Luton Town versus Nottingham Forest. I've had nothing but good things to say about these two for the majority of the season, and I'm struggling with this one. I think I might back the away team. Now, you look at the two teams in the positions they're in, I think they might both complete their objectives. I think Luton will probably make the top 6, and Forest could really make the top 2. I think Forest win this game though. They're in better form. Luton a bit patchy at the moment. They need to try and get something. If they could get a draw, it wouldn't be a disaster. But I'm going to go Luton 1, Forest 2. The Forest train keeps chugging along.
I'll tell you how I see this. And I'm not saying this to upset anyone because I think both of these teams are excellent. But I think we're looking at the playoff final here.
Oh, okay.
I think Bournemouth will just about have enough. They have got games in hand on Forest and more points. Obviously, Forest are in immense form. I think they'll win this game, but I think Luton will stay in the top 6, and I think they'll make it through semi-finals as well. I think for this particular meeting, though, I reckon we're probably looking at a Forest win, as I say. And given how the Huddersfield game went yesterday, as we record this, I think we're looking at 2-0 Forest.
2-0 Forest. Right, we'll move on to the St Andrews derby as Birmingham City host Coventry City. Now, a lot of the time when we play these, we draw. History might not repeat itself, we don't know. Based on our last result, Coventry City were excellent at Fulham, but with Coventry you never know. I've said before, we can turn up once every 5 games and then go back to a very mediocre performance. I don't know what to expect. I know we've got 5 games to go. I just want to take each game as it comes. Birmingham City, I watched them against West Brom and against Forest. They were decent against West Brom, not great against Forest, but they were against a top Forest. I don't think there'll be a lot in this, but I am just going to edge Coventry and say Birmingham 1, Coventry 2.
Yeah, I mean, we've got anywhere between 12 and 14 players available, senior players available for this game. I mean, at the weekend we had to have 2 goalkeepers on the bench because we couldn't fill it with senior players. So we're barer than bare bones right now, which will make this game difficult, especially given the fact that, like you say, this fixture historically has been, just full of draws. But I do think we'll sneak it by 1 goal, and I think it'll be 2-0.
Okay.
I think 1-0 for this.
1-0 to Coventry. Right, next up's another massive game. It is AFC Bournemouth versus Middlesbrough. This is a huge one because both teams probably need a win, and it's hard for us to say that because Middlesbrough, you'd think going away to Bournemouth shouldn't say a win is, they should be happy with a draw, but the position Middlesbrough put themselves in with their 2 recent home performances, I don't know, I think they need a win here, but Bournemouth need a win as well because Forest are chasing them down. So I'm struggling. I might go for a very unhelpful draw here. I think Bournemouth 1, Middlesbrough 1, and like I say, they both probably need to win this.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think 1-1. Middlesbrough chasing the pack and Bournemouth trying to get away from the pack. So it might be a very tense one.
Yeah.
Because neither team wants to lose ground. Both of them have, well, on paper, easier games upcoming. Obviously not Bournemouth, they've got some big ones, but they've got 1 or 2 more winnable games in there, you'd think. So maybe they're just going to be looking at this, just going, don't lose, and maybe Middlesbrough might have the same opinion. What did I say? It was 1-1.
1-1. Yeah. Next up, we'll move on to Hull City versus Cardiff City. Now, we've got to that point of the season where we've got a lot of games that are on the beach, and this certainly does feel like one. Let's talk about their recent results. Hull City pulled off a very good win at Middlesbrough. Cardiff City won away at Reading, and what was incredible was both Hull and Cardiff, not really much to play for, but they won at teams that did have something to play for. So both ending the season fairly strongly. I'll go for a share of the spoils in an entertaining Desmond 2-2.
Desmond. I think Hull will win this, and I only think that because I think they'll now be targeting 50 points. More to show that they are here for it next season as well, because just surviving because of the teams on points deduction isn't a good enough first season back, really, because you're not going to get every season the 2 teams have a combined total of 47 points deducted or whatever it was. I think it was 37 in the end, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Which is still a huge number, even if it is split between 2 teams. So I think they'll want to be able to finish as high as they can and maybe attract some quality over the summer. I see this being semi-dull with some sparks of magic. This could be 2-1 to Hull.
Okay, next up we go to Peterborough versus Blackburn. This is a big game because both teams need a win to get back into contention for what they want. Peterborough for survival doesn't look massively likely. They probably need to win all but one game. And as for Blackburn, they're still in the mix, to be fair, but they haven't really won many games recently. It's a big opportunity for both here because both form coming into this isn't great. I might go for another Desmond. I think both teams are attacking, could be entertaining. 2-2.
Get off the fence. You got for 3 draws already in 5 games in. I thought Peterborough got no chance. They're staying up. I mean, they might get a point out of this game, but I think that their whole season's just been a shambles from start to finish, I'm afraid. Blackburn should get a win here. I think they will. I don't think they'll be worked too hard. 3-1.
Okay. Next up we go to Deepdale, where we've got Preston North End versus Millwall. Millwall in that playoff race on the outside of it, but a good win against Barnsley last time. Preston picked up a decent win against QPR, so both teams ending fairly strong. Expect both to be in the top half. Preston maybe, I don't know. Preston it's close. They're mid-table anyway. Do you know what? He's making me not go for a draw here. I'm going to say, I reckon the home team, Preston 1-0.
Yeah, catch me being hypocritical as well, because I think this is going to be 1-1.
Disgusting.
I don't know. Millwall draw a lot of games. They don't lose many either, and I think they are quite evenly matched. These two. Obviously, Preston like to sort of finish averagely.
Yeah.
Millwall have in recent seasons not really challenged the top 6 too harshly, so I can see this being a 1-1. It'll be an entertaining 1-1 though. I think they're Millwall quite good at the back, and so are Preston. So we might see a battle of whose attack can penetrate. Okay,
next up we go to Bramall Lane, where Sheffield United take on Reading. Now Sheffield United, I've got to say, their home run, unbeaten home run, goes back a long, long way. I think it goes back to October, which is incredible. Reading are in town, and do you know what I'll say? I'll say Reading, I think you will stay up, guys. It looks very realistic that you're going to stay up, but I don't think you'll get anything here. I think you should stay up because the other 3 teams aren't going to catch you. I'm going to back the Blades here because the Blades need a win to cement the top 6. I'm going to say 2-0 to Sheffield United.
Yeah, I think it's going to be 3-0. Much for the reasons you've outlined. I just think Reading aren't quite ready to compete with the top half now. I think given a good summer, they might be there again, because obviously they had a fairly good season last year. Obviously fell way short of their targets, but I think in the end, when it comes down to it, this season was all about surviving with that points deduction and the way they started as well. So I think they will lose this and just focus on next season now. I don't think Sheffield United should have too much trouble with these, no disrespect.
Okay, next up we go to Stoke City versus Bristol City. Now, once again, this one's on the beach. Stoke City at the start of the season looked like they could be in a playoff mix, and Bristol City at the start of the season were close to a relegation battle, but right now they're both going to be in the Championship again next season. I'm impressed by Stoke's recent form. They picked up 3 wins in the last sort of 4 or 5 games, and that 3-1 at West Brom was a very decent result. I haven't backed Stoke massively recently, so I will here. 3-1 to the Potters.
Yeah, I'm shocked at how badly these two are finishing. Less so at Bristol City, it has to be said. But I didn't think they'd be this low. I thought you were looking at 14th, 15th. Stoke, I thought they were nailed on, top 8 at the very least. But they went into freefall and didn't really change it around at all. Yeah, they've got 1 or 2 wins here and there in the last few weeks or so, but still not impressive. Again, I think they'll be focusing on trying to finish as high as they can and looking at next season now, looking at the summer, trying to attract some new talent in. If they can get back to winning ways again, then I can see this quite easily being a 2-0 to Stoke. It just depends on how much they want it, I suppose. Like you say, it's on the beach.
Okay, next up to the Liberty, where Swansea City take on Barnsley. Now, Barnsley obviously in the bottom 3. They've got the game in hand and they're the highest out of the bottom 3. But even then, you think Reading look very safe of these bottom 3. Barnsley need to pull out a result at somewhere like this now because time is running out and I don't see how they're going to do it. Swansea are ending the season in incredible form. So I'm not even going to sit anywhere near the fence. 4-0 to Swansea.
Gee, that's not like you at all. I think Barnsley might snatch this, you know. I think they might just have it. Because I think they'll be working that hard for it. Swansea, obviously, they've been on a good run, but they don't last forever. And you do see now and then a bottom 3 team picking up a result against a team in the mid-table who really should have battered them. I think this might be one. I think this could be 1-0 to Barnsley.
Wow, can you imagine? Such completely different predictions.
Well, I don't know. I might end up looking like an absolute pellet, but you know, it's what I think could happen. Weird things have happened this year.
Yeah, absolutely.
Weird things have happened last weekend.
Okay, the battle for the top half between West Bromwich Albion and Blackpool next. Do you know what? Finishing the top half of Blackpool is a great achievement, but to just scrape into the top half of West Brom would be a terrible achievement considering these two have come from opposite directions into this league. I fancy Blackpool, you know. West Bromwich Albion, a very poor result against Stoke. They can be okay. They've beaten Fulham, they've beaten Bournemouth all in the last month, but they pull out some dross results. Blackpool to win this, 2-1.
I think it would be unacceptable if West Brom were to lose this as well, given how poor they have been recently. And that's not a slight on Blackpool. You've had an excellent season. I really rate Blackpool as a club. But I think the way that they have been, even since replacing their manager, it's just been going from bad to worse, really, hasn't it, for them? I think this is one of those games that are chalked up as a win. Do you know what, though? I don't see it now. The more I'm talking about it, the more I don't see it. I think Blackpool will snatch this as well. I think I'll give it a 2-1. I think Blackpool, they've upset a lot of people this year, and I think they'll do it again, maybe. We're
both going for the Tangerines there. Next up, we move to the later kick-offs. We've got Huddersfield versus QPR. You know what, a few weeks ago, you'd be thinking, oh, it's a battle for the top 6, but Huddersfield looked pretty good in there, and QPR looked nowhere near there. QPR are in some rotten form, so I think this could be quite comfortable for Huddersfield. I don't know when QPR are going to turn this around. They need to at some point, because they're heading towards a bottom half finish. 2-0 to Huddersfield.
Yeah, Huddersfield's result against Luton on Monday, fighting a day in a football match. Their result against Luton on Monday is probably what's kept them in the top 6. I think that they'll stay there now.
Yeah.
I don't really see much reason to argue against that. I think they'll win again. I think they'll just try and finish as high up as they can now and try and get an easier draw for the playoffs. I know it's kind of a misnomer because they're all very good teams, but the way it's seeded can be a bit funny. I think we're looking at quite a comfortable 2-0 here for Huddersfield.
Yeah.
And they'll take so much confidence from that Monday night result, I would have thought.
Yes. Last up, we have Derby County versus Fulham. Now, when they played at Craven Cottage, Derby County held out for a 0-0. And recently, we've seen Fulham lose to Coventry. So Fulham, some question marks, but they're definitely heading towards promotion. It does feel like these two will be 2 leagues apart. Their relegations and promotions could be confirmed very soon. Any Derby fans with hope that they could survive, they need to win this one to start things off. I don't think they will, but you know what? I feel like Derby will show some character, and at home they're not bad. They might get a draw here, but I don't think it'll do much good for them. Derby 1, Fulham 1.
Yeah, I'm going for something completely different to you again. I think what we've seen with Fulham a lot this season is when they've been beaten, they've then gone and slacked where they've got next. And it looks like it's going to be Derby in the firing line, as far as I'm concerned, if that theory holds true. And I think it'll be a fairly easy 3-1, maybe even 4-1. I'm not going to say 4-1, that's a bit harsh on Derby because they're a good team. But
you're going to go with the 3-1?
I'm going to go with the 3-1. I just think Fulham, when they lose, like I say, they come back with a vengeance.
Yes, and Derby might get punished. That wraps up the video, guys. Make sure to get your predictions down below, to drop a like and subscribe. And we'll see you for plenty of content in the upcoming weekend. Peace out.